as well as Twitter. Mark Zuckerberg and Jack Dorsey, as well as CEO of Google, Sundar Pichai, will appear before federal lawmakers tomorrow morning for a hearing on Section 230 of the Telecom Act. Section 230 allows those companies to moderate potentially harmful content without repercussions. In other words, they call themselves a bulletin board. All opinions can go on the bulletin board, so they can't get sued. That was the thinking in terms of Section 230, which protected them from lawsuits. Joining me right now is Florida Congressman, member of the Judiciary Antitrust Subcommittee, Greg Steube. Congressman, it's great to see you. Thanks very much for joining us. Tell me what you're expecting to hear from these tech media giants, and does 230 enable bad behavior from big tech?
Well, unfortunately, I don't think you're going to hear anything of substance. They're going to try to avoid pinpointed questions because I'm sure their counsel has said to act like you don't know or that information was never risen to your level as CEO. So I don't think you're going to get a lot of information from them. But absolutely, your synopsis of Section 230 and the way it's supposed to work was absolutely correct. And unfortunately, that's not what they're doing. We know that they are completely censoring conservatives. We know that they're prohibiting information from being disseminated by people based on their political views. And that absolutely flies in the face of the liability protection in Section 230, and it needs to go away. We're working on a bill in the House that would allow and create a private cause of action for anybody that's being censored, and that these big tech companies are preventing this information from being disseminated on their platforms.
Yeah, Congressman Jim Jordan joined me on Sunday and referred to that. In fact, here's Jim Jordan. Let's take a listen. Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey and Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg are going to be testifying before the Senate Judiciary Committee next month. But you've been calling for them in the House for months now. What are you going to do about this cover-up going on by the media?
Well, two things. When they testify, I think the first question I would ask Jack Dorsey is, why are you still censoring the New York Post? All these facts we've just talked about are real. They're just that, facts. Why are you still censoring the New York Post, and a publication that's been around since Alexander Hamilton, for goodness sake? So why are you doing that? The remedy is legislation we've introduced, Doug and others on the Judiciary Committee that we've introduced, that does a complete overhaul of Section 230, brings back some liability for these folks, and will have the incentives in place so that they can't keep censoring conservatives like they've been doing.
Congressman Steube, if you even get to that, I mean, let's face it, during the 2016 election, Google had changed its algorithms where you type in Hillary Clinton, it was all puppies and rainbows, great stories. You typed in Donald Trump, you got, Hitler and his horrible stories about him. So are they going to work out the algorithms once again in the Democrats' favor? I mean, they've obviously taken a side.
Until they're held accountable, and by doing that, getting rid of their liability protection, they're going to continue to behave in this manner and just conceal it in a way that the American public can't see it. But we know it's happening, we know it's going on, and it needs to stop, and we need to do away with their liability protection.
All right, what do you want to see going forward in terms of this issue? You want this to go away entirely, Section 230, or are you looking for tweaks at it?
No, it would allow for a private cause of action if an individual feels like their information was censored. So, for example, the New York Post story where they completely, Twitter just shut them down, New York Post would have a private cause of action against Twitter for doing that. So it would give individuals and companies the individual private cause of action against the company if they're being censored. And I think you would see the behavior quickly change if suddenly they were open up to lawsuits like that.
By the way, you might see the whole company's changed because somebody mentioned to me Craigslist. And when Craigslist started getting sued a lot for the products that they were putting out there, the company really declined. It is a shell of itself. So this is a story to watch, and we certainly will be watching your actions, Congressman. It's great to see you this morning. Thanks very much,
Yeah, great to
Congressman
see you.
Greg Steube, joining us.